Now we're going to move into the earthquake part of our report tonight, and it's Friday evening, July 19th, 2019, 6:47 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we have USGS pulled up here for all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and we're showing 865 earthquakes worldwide. Now of those, 65 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So in the event area that we've been following here in Southern California, in Ridgecrest and Searles Valley and Coso Junction, right now we got 567 earthquakes in the last 24 hours. So the number is decreasing. Here's the screenshot of what I took this morning, and I took this at 9:40 a.m. and we have 612 earthquakes in the event area and 851 earthquakes worldwide. So the number down here, the number of earthquakes are starting to decrease. I don't know if they're going to stay on the decrease, but this is the lowest I've seen since I've started tracking these a couple of weeks ago. So it was 612 this morning, and now it's 567. So it's gone down about 60 since this morning. So they're still having a huge amount of a number of earthquakes come in. It's just that it's 60 less than the day before at this point in time. That's what that means. So let's go ahead and get started here. So let's see what's about to come off the map. Here's a 2.5 at Hawaii. That came in at 9:45 last night. So we're okay with where we want to start. The rest of these are down in the event area at Coso Junction. So let's start down here in the New Zealand area, Fiji area. We're showing a hold on. Okay, we're showing a 4.5 south of the Fiji Islands here. That came in last night at 10:42 p.m. Very deep, 537 kilometers deep. So that will make the plates move around the planet when it's that deep. Additionally, we've got more activity off the coast of Australia. The reporting station is Broome. We had a 4.5 at 2:21 this morning, and a 4.6 just happened at 5:18 this afternoon. So that has not stopped moving. And these times I'm telling you are Pacific time, because that's my time zone. Here, a 4.6 near Dobo, Indonesia. Here's a 4.9 near Peru, Indonesia. Coming on up was a 4.7 at Kota Ternate, Indonesia. Coming on up, here's a 4.4 near Sarangani, Philippines at 8:23 this morning. That's in the ocean. Here's another one in the ocean, a 4.5 near Dalao. I don't know how to say that, Philippines. 4.5 there. Moving on up, Here's a 4.5 off the coast of Taiwan. And coming on around, here at Japan, we've got one on land, on the mainland, and it was 3.6 near Yotsukaido, Japan. This came in last night at 10:19. Yotsukaido. Yotsukaido's right up there. Here's the earthquake. 3.6. That's not big enough to cause damage, but it's showing movement. And right down here, remember we had a couple down here in the Kuril Islands yesterday? Well, we've got another one. We've got a 4.4 just to the southern tip of Kamchatka that came in at 5:22 this afternoon. Coming on around, here's a 5.4 near Bomdila, India, that came in at 3:54 this afternoon. Let's see where that is. If that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, it probably didn't do any damage. But it looks like there's a cluster here. There's a 5.5 at 2:22 this morning, 4.7 at 2:52 this morning, and a 5.4 at 3:54 this afternoon. So they could be having a little of an event there. Next, here's a 4.3 near Farkar, Afghanistan. That's the only one there. And then Greece has had a couple of earthquakes. Near Athens, these were on land. We had a 5.2, they're calling it near Magula, Greece, at 4:13 this morning, and then a 4.2 near Fili, Greece, at 5:11 this morning, on land. So those are the international earthquakes. Now let's move to the United States territories. We're showing 11 here at Hawaii. 2.5, 2.5, 1.1, 1.9, 1.6, 1.8, 2.4, 2.0, 1.8, 2.4, and 1.8. So they're along the coastline there, it looks like mainly. Next, in the Caribbean, we've got 10 here today. 1.5, 1.9, 2.1, 2.0, 3.0, 2.7, 2.1, 2.7, 2.1, and 3.1. So 3s and 2s there. Now coming on up to Alaska. See what's going on. Now this includes the Solution Island chain. We're showing 100 here today. So that's more than we've seen here in the last few days. So that's an uptick. And we're also seeing a larger number of the larger earthquakes, 2.5 magnitude or higher. So how many of those do we have? We've got 10 here today. So let's see where they are. 3.8 at Cold Bay. 3.5 Anchor Point, 2.5 Redoubt Volcano, 2.7 Nikiski, 2.9 Willow, 3.0 Talkeetna, 2.5 and a 3.7 at Kobuk, and a 2.5 and a 3.4 at Koktovik. Notice how these came up along these volcanoes. Redoubt Volcano, Old Iliamna, there are volcanoes all along there. Now let's zoom in with all magnitudes. We're seeing some activity in these Aleutian Islands. Now, even though these are small, the small ones are significant because they tell us where the movement is. And we're showing 6 here at Adak today. And these are microquakes. These are so small, they're a negative magnitude. This is a minus 1.2. Here's a 0. The largest one is a 0. And then the rest of these are under 1s. Now they have negative a negative reading to them because of the algorithms from USGS, and that the way they explained it in their email to me when I asked about negative magnitude earthquakes, they said that the reporting equipment and sensing equipment is more sensitive now than when they developed their Richter scale, and so that's why we have some negative earthquakes. Here's a 1.8 at Unalaska, 0.7 Dutch Harbor. Here's that 3.8. And now here we are coming on up, entering. Here's Cook Inlet. We've got quite the clustering here today. See? So that's definitely an uptick all along where these volcanoes are. Here's Anchorage, and then it moves on up into the mountains, and then moves on up through the middle of the state. And then when we get to the northern part, we've got 8 total. We already showed the larger ones there, or the higher magnitude ones. And at Kobuk we have 20 today. And then we've got a couple of strays. Here's a 1.7 at Nome, and a 1.2 at Alacoquet, or maybe Alacoquet. I don't know how you say that. Now let's come on down into the lower 48. $726. Let's get our calculator. 728, sorry. 728 minus 570. So we've got 158 other than in the event center. Now look at the activity here. We've had quite the activity here on the east coast. This follows the Appalachian Mountains down. This is the edge of the North American Craton, which is a plate here. That's the edge of it. And it's wherever that edge is, it's more unstable. So we've got quite a bit here. We had a 2.2 near Lake Pleasant, New York at 7:47 this morning, and a 2.2 near Spring Ridge, Pennsylvania. Now that looks like it's just outside of Philadelphia. Here's Philadelphia, here's Spring Ridge. That came in at 10:11 this morning. Here's the one in New York. it was in upstate New York, north of Albany. Now New York City is down here. So then 2.3 near South Cleveland, Tennessee at 10:59 this morning. And then in Oklahoma we've got a 1.8 at Boley, 2.2 and 2.2 at Hennessy, and a 2.3 at Fairview. Coming on up, Arizona's clear. We've got a 1.0 and a 1.8 at Enoch. Looks like that's all for Utah. Now, what's going on in Wyoming today? Remember we only saw like 1 or 2 earthquakes here yesterday? Well, we've got a few more here today. Look, no blasting. Maybe someone said no blasting. We've got 20, so they must be stacked up somewhere. Let's see. Yep, Old Faithful Geyser is the winner for the number of earthquakes. Right down here. So let's start right down here, since it's the winner. When you go zoom in, here's Yellowstone Lake. Here's the Old Faithful Geyser area. Let's do this one first. There's a 1.6 at West Yellowstone, and then the rest of these are here. So how many did we say? 20? No, 15. 15 here. So 14 right there. So let's see. Well, we've got a large one, or a larger one, a 2.1, that came in at 12:54 this afternoon. Now these started up this morning at 8:55 with a 0.8. So that's the winner. Then here's a 1.1 at West Yellowstone. Here, a 0.8 and a 1.5 at Manhattan. And a 1.2 at Helena Valley Northwest. And there's one over here, a 1.3 near Chalice, Idaho. That came in at 7:27 last night. So that's Yellowstone. Now let's look at the Pacific Northwest today. So we're looking at Washington and Oregon, and we're showing 3 here today. So here's the tremor map. This is from yesterday, showing 53 epicenters. I showed this. It was available when I did my show yesterday. So from yesterday, the clustering was down here north of Medford and up here near Vancouver Island. Right up here, right up by Victoria. So let's call them off. Here's a 1.0 at Federal Way near Seattle, 1.5 at Sisters, and a 1.7 at Graham. Now Mount Graham is a volcano. There's Mount Rainier over there. Well, maybe that's okay. It just says Graham. There's the one at 1.5 at Sisters, right there. So, I don't know if there's a Mount Graham or not. I thought I'd heard about it, but don't quote me on it. It just seems like there's so many. Okay, coming into California, here's a 2.7 at Petrolia. On this fulcrum point, where the San Andreas connects with the Juan de Fuca plate, this came in at 10:41 this morning. Let's come on over to Nevada. In northern Nevada, we've got two 1.4s at Battle Mountain. Next, we've got some activity down here in the Hawthorne area, 1.2, 1.0, and so forth. So we've got a few scattered around here. And in the southern Nevada, we've got a few. Here's a 1.9 at Goldfield, a 1.4 Pioche, and a couple down in the south. So now let's come over to California. In the Mammoth area, we're showing 14 here today. 2.8 is the highest. Here's a 1.6. I'm just calling out the higher ones, a 1.7 and a 1.3 and another 1.3, and the rest are under ones. So that's an uptick with the 14 there. Now continuing up here, we've got 3 near Ukiah, a 1.4 Redwood Valley, 2.0 at Willits, and a 1.7 Lake Pillsbury. And then when we zoom in at the geysers, we've got 2 over here, just next to Clear Lake, a 0.9 and a 1.7. They're reporting at Lower Lake. So if we take those 2 away, there are 47 here at the geysers today. So let's see if any of those, now those are all under 2.5 magnitude. 47, that's definitely an uptick. I just saw a 2.1. Here's a 2.3, and those are the highest. Now coming on down, .4 King City. Here's a 1.6 Templeton. Here's a 1.5 magnitude quarry blast at Atascadero. Here's a 2.3 at Shandon. Now here's this San Andreas fault line. And now we're coming into the LA area. Okay, we've got a 3.6 at Anza. So that one is the winner for today. So down here, here's one at Baja, 1.6 at Primo Tapia, or Tapia. We've got 37 here today. There's that 3.6 at Anza, and see the cluster next to it? It's definitely clustering. .2 East Los Angeles. 1.3 Big Bear Lake, 1.1 Yucca Valley, 1.0 Glen Avon, and so on. Look at this. You see this one? 1.8 at Corona. This came in at 12:53 this afternoon. You know what's just to the west of that? Is Prado Dam. Right here. 1.8, that's getting up there. It's right here. Right. Here's the San Bernardino. Well, this is the. Let me make sure I'm not getting lost. Chino Hills. Okay, it's right here. That's the dam right there. And this basin fills up with water when the rivers like overflow and stuff, or when they've had a lot of rain. So that's right next to the dam. And I've heard and read that the dam it needs a lot of repair. So that's a little curious. Okay, now if we look at the event area, let's back out so we can see the spread of it. Here's a 1.8 at Arvin. So here's the general direction from southeast up to northwest to Coso Junction and Olancha, and then we're seeing them spread out in the mountains here and around there. Here's a 2.1 Olancha. Here's some more filling in, and now we have a clustering going to the east of this little northern area, and that's still considered Cyril's Valley. That one is at Trona, and that one is at Trona. So it's still showing movement. We still have some activity at Johannesburg and also at California City. This is a 2.6. So let's see how many are 2.5 magnitude or higher here. We've got 24 here today. So let's just take a peek at what these look like. I'm seeing 3s. I saw 3.6 as the highest one. That's 3.7 down here though. That was the highest one today, but we're seeing 3s and 2s here. So only 24 here. But 566 of all magnitudes, which is still a very huge number. And so it's still showing a lot of movement. Here's a 2.3 at Shandon that just came in. Here's another one, 1.8 that just came in at the geysers. Here's what happened in Hawaii, 2.4 Hawaii, and so on. So let's look at this map and see if there's anything else that needs to be discussed. 4.4. I'm just making sure there's not 2 there. No, that's the only one. Alright, so that wraps it up for our earthquake report for tonight.